Redgi, heir to the throne, must embark on a perilous quest to reclaim his kingdom. Explore this epic RPG adventure with brutal combat against the evil frog clan and... oh wait. Gotta drink some bug juice to quickly get some HP back. Tales of Iron is described as an action-adventure, RPG, indie, Souls-like game. You play as Redgi, whose kingdom has been turned to rubble by the evil frog clan, and you must journey to save your family, friends, and kingdom to take your rightful place as king. Gameplay in Tales of Iron is easy to learn, but challenging to master. As Redgi, you have both a single-handed weapon like a spear, sword, or axe and shield. You can do simple combos by mashing the attack button, and can block with your shield. You've got a dodge and a jump button, and later on unlock a ranged weapon and a heavy weapon to break shields or do more damage. This is all pretty simple and introduced to you slowly enough to learn the basics. However, you'll soon learn that this is no button mashing game, and most fights require a lot more thought and strategy, which is why it earns the Souls-like name. Almost all the combat in Tales of Iron is close and gritty. It does a really good job of making you feel the fight, getting you in close and personal to each enemy, and frantically watching their every move to see if you can read their attacks properly. Hits feel solid, whether you're hitting an enemy or they're hitting you. Those rats, frogs, and bugs each feel the pain and flinch and fall back from the damage. Enemies will come at you with various different kinds of attacks. Basic attacks are normal and you can choose to block or dodge as needed. Some attacks will have a yellow outline letting you know you need to block and then parry, so using the L2 to block and R2 to bash the attack away on PS5. This leaves the enemy staggered and open for a few quick attacks, so jumping into close range right away is usually a great idea. Attacks outlined in red are unblockable, and there are two main types you need to watch out for. Red circles let you know to get out of the way immediately. Using your dodge, you can dodge forward or backward, and dodging again sets you rolling for your life. These attacks are usually more AoE and involve slams to the ground that do damage in the immediate area surrounding the enemy. If only outlined in red, you need to usually dodge past the enemy as they are most likely going to lunge at you for an attack, so dodging and rolling behind the enemy for an attack is usually best. Even though you're given these very handy cues, combat is still brutal and early in the game you will die often. Hits land hard and Redgi can't take many hits before eating the dirt. Learning to read the attacks is one big step to making your way through the game. This becomes very apparent in any of the many boss battles throughout the game. Stuck in a small arena with one of these large enemies, dodging or blocking at the wrong time will mean a quick end and you'll have to restart the battle over. In typical Souls style, you also have a flask, though this time it's filled with bug juice, that lets you restore HP when you have a quick break in action. Thankfully, looting the body of most bug enemies you kill will let Redgi restore some of the juice in his flask, making it easier to survive on your journey. Saves are sprinkled throughout all the levels as little spots that you can sit for a rest. There is a good amount of exploring that you'll do on your quest, however visiting almost all of the map is required to beat the game, as well as completing most of the side quests as you'll need to earn coins and resources to progress the story. All along the way, you'll find treasure chests, loot enemies, and be given new gear that you can equip at specific armories around the world. While there are a lot of weapons and armor to find in the game, they all boil down to adding a little more damage and protecting you a little more. There are no abilities or special skills, and all the weapons feel and act pretty much the same. There is a weight management aspect to the game, but I never noticed some of the heavier gear making anything more difficult for me, so I'd suggest equipping the stuff that will let you survive the longest. Sound design in Tales of Iron is really good. I enjoyed the soundtrack throughout the game and found a number of the tunes to be pretty catchy. The animals do not talk, but rather make cute instrumental sounds with speech bubbles above their head helping explain the point they are trying to make. The game is narrated by none other than Doug Cockle, yes, the voice of Geralt of Rivia from the CDPR Witcher games, and he does an amazing job selling the story and explaining the motivation behind the characters.
Basement in terror. He was sure they would destroy his bug-juicing machine before long. Redgi assured the farmer he would not let that happen.
Other than that, the weapons and enemies all have good sound effects that are convincing and believable. I did run into an issue a few times while playing where something would happen to the audio and only half the sound effects and music would play, giving a really jarring feeling. The only way I could fix this issue was to close the game and open it again, and it would work well again. Hopefully this can be fixed in a patch later on. Tales of Iron has a wonderful 2D, hand-drawn graphic novel art style that fits the game really well. While cartoony and cute at times, the enemies are grotesque and the combat still feels gritty and real. Finishers and executions look great, and the layered effects of foreground objects and background really help to feel immersed in the world. Playing on PS5, I had no graphical issues or glitches, and the game ran at a steady, smooth frame rate the entire time I played. Tales of Iron does include a Platinum trophy and its 27 trophies total. The majority of the trophies will be unlocked from you completing the game normally, as you have to complete most side quests anyways. There are a couple optional fights that you could avoid if you wanted, but for the most part this is a very easy Platinum to get. The only trophy that was a little more difficult was collecting all the weapons and armor in the game. There are a lot of pieces to find, and there are no indicators of these pieces on the map. As mentioned before, you'll have to explore almost the entire map to complete the game, so as long as you are exploring each area fully and picking everything up, this should come naturally. Be sure to revisit areas after completing them. Later on, sometimes new chests will appear containing some of this loot. I was able to get the Platinum trophy in Tales of Iron in just under 7 hours. Tales of Iron has a lot to offer a lot of different people. Don't let the Souls-like moniker scare you off if Souls games aren't your cup of tea. While the combat can be brutal at times, the difficulty was nowhere near what I would consider a Souls game to have, and there are many save points and places to refill your flask that make the game a lot more forgiving. The story is fairly standard and didn't offer anything truly unexpected. Some of the major story beats felt a little forced to try and evoke a reaction, but overall it's very heartfelt and never felt like it dragged on. Having Doug Cockle narrate the entire game was a welcome treat, and I really enjoyed playing Tales of Iron. Sadly, after completing the game, there is no New Game Plus, and nothing really to do except finish any side quests you may not have already, so there isn't really any replay value here. Brutal, fun, and engaging combat are definitely the stars of Tales of Iron. The characters and story give a good enough motivation to keep the action flowing and never dragging on too long. Besides a few minor audio glitches that will hopefully be fixed in an update, Tales of Iron delivers solid gameplay, fun combat, and a great audio presentation. While not a long game, clocking in at around 7 hours, it is a little disappointing that there's no New Game Plus or other reasons to stick around this world after beating the game. Still, I would highly recommend Tales of Iron to anyone in the mood for some tough combat and light RPG and exploring. I would rate it as a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much to Oddbug Studio for providing me with a review copy of Tales of Iron on PS5. You can pick up Tales of Iron now on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. Thank you all so much for watching. Please give a like on this video as it really helps out. And as always, happy gaming.